Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Your Business Continuity Plan. My name is Jade Berger and I'll be your moderator today. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the webinar environment, this is the GoToWebinar panel. Let's take a closer look at the webinar controls. By clicking the orange arrow, you can open and close your control panel. The handouts pane is where you can access your workbook. Click to download this now if you haven't already. The questions pane is where you can ask a question at any time. We'll answer your questions at the end of the webinar. Now I'd like to introduce today's presenter. Michelle Hill is the Director and Managing Partner of BDO Rotorua and is a member of the board for BDO New Zealand. Michelle has more than 30 years experience as a chartered accountant and has specialist skills in business advisory, strategic planning, business structuring, and management reporting. Michelle provides services to a broad range of small to medium-sized businesses and has a special interest in the professional sector. Michelle's practical, down-to-earth approach allows her to build strong, lasting relationships with clients. This often involves one-on-one coaching to enable clients to grow their businesses and create opportunities to meet both business and personal goals. Michelle has been extensively involved with the New Zealand Institute of Chartered Accountants at both local and national levels and was honoured with a fellowship early in her career. She has a genuine interest in helping others to achieve excellence and sets a standard that others wish to emulate. An experienced presenter, Michelle regularly shares her insight and experience through speaking events, from a small group of clients to national events and workshops. Welcome, Michelle.
Morning everyone, and thanks Jade. I did actually just have to have a little bit of a giggle when I saw that photo of myself and thought, thank goodness we actually don't have a camera on me today after 6 weeks of not being able to see the hairdresser, and with the amount of hair that I possess, it's looking like I am certainly a baby of the 60s and 70s and something out of the hippie era for sure. But look, thank you everyone for making the time to listen to this important webinar, and I hope that you will take a lot away with it and from it and take some points that you can actually utilize and put in your business. It's interesting, isn't it? These are just such unprecedented times of great uncertainty and concern for us all. I have to say, you know, I've only come into town a couple of times while I've been in lockdown, and one of the times that I visited the supermarket, it was just surreal. It was the most surreal feeling that I think I've ever had. And my stepson talks about zombie apocalypses and things like that I just really don't have much time for, to be honest. But I have to say that thought did go through my mind as I was driving into the supermarket. It was just so deserted. Look, what we want you to know is that we're here at BDO Rotorua. We're here for you, albeit it's pretty remote right now, but maybe this is the new. You know, usually I'm standing in front of people speaking, but maybe this remote way of working is going to be the new. But we are here to give you support and to help you get through these difficult and truly challenging times. So what we want you to know is that you shouldn't hesitate to contact either Stephen Graham or myself as partners in the advisory part of our firm. We are obviously here to help you with any problem that you have at all, be it around COVID-19 or anything else. But we do actually have a specialist team of accountants that are working with us around these COVID-19 issues. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you have anything at all that you would like to discuss. BDO Rotorua has a vision, and because it was one that was set by our team, I think that makes it pretty special, and I'm pretty proud of it. Our vision is to be a reputable practice built on respect, belief and pride, backing ourselves, our clients and our community. So totally with that in mind, what we're here to share with you today is the practical things that we hope that you can use to assist in mitigating the impact of the current COVID-19 pandemic on your business, but also in your family life. So before we kick off, I just want to give you a thought for the day from JFK. When written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger, the other represents opportunity. The two Chinese characters here are Wei and Jai. Regardless of the fact that JFK did not entirely get the translation of those characters correct, it's now very widely used and even is used by some native Chinese speakers, which I find quite interesting. Regardless, what we are faced with right here and the now is certainly a crisis, but at the same time, it is a time for real opportunity. An opportunity for you to firstly take a leadership role in helping your team at their time of greatest need, in being proactive in communicating with your clients and your customers, and in making a plan for a more sustainable and resilient business, or as the case may be, in the worst case scenario, is a plan to exit your business maybe with a minimum negative impact for you and your team. So what I'd like to do now is just quickly run through our agenda. What I would like you to encourage you to do is to take notes, but there will be a recording of this made available afterwards. So if you don't feel like taking notes, that's absolutely fine. And you can submit questions, remember, via the GoToWebinar chat panel. There will be a Q&A session at the end. So you'll be listening to my voice for about 60 minutes. And then there'll be 15 minutes of Q&A, and hopefully we can cover off any questions that you have. If there's some questions that are left unanswered, then we will come back to you afterwards. So firstly, we're going to look at the mindset that we need to have in these very difficult times. We're going to build a plan, hopefully, for yourself, your team, and your business. I'll give you a bit of an outline of what support is available to you, what your next steps might look like, and as I said, our Q&A session after that. So what I would like to do is to get us all in the right frame of mind. These are difficult times. They are times when we can find ourselves in a little bit of a hole, perhaps. So I want to share a powerful business model that I've seen, and it's called Orbed. In times of crisis such as these, we do have two choices. We get to choose how we respond. We can act below the line, or we can choose to act above the line. Below the line actions would go something like this: blame someone else for bringing the virus into our country, making excuses why there is nothing that we can do about it, or going into denial that there's even an issue, and in doing so, putting ourselves, our team, and our business at great risk. Or we can make the choice to act above the line. And in doing so, we will take ownership that we can and we must do something to protect ourselves and our business, even, as I said, if that does mean that we end up having to close our business. But we take ownership of it. Recognise that we are accountable to our team, our clients, and our customers at their time of greatest need. We need to take responsibility for protecting ourselves, our team, our customers, and our business from these difficult times. The fundamental mindset here is that we do have a choice. And the choice mustn't be to take on a victim's mindset. So we want to be thinking about acting above the line. As well as acting above the line, we also have to consider who we need to be in these times? In other words, what is our personal brand and identity? If we're not careful, we could act like this. When I've got through these pressing client and customer matters, I'll be able to do the things like make a plan to get through this and talk to my team about what all this means for them so that I can be the greatest leader of my business and my team. Or a far better mindset is to take it the other way around. In order to be the great leader of my business, I need to do things like update my plan and get proactive with my team and my customers during this time of crisis. Then I will have the most successful business that I possibly can in these truly difficult and unprecedented times. The next mindset comes from Sir Richard Branson and serves really as a great reminder, I believe, as to where we need to place most of our energy right now, because it's getting zapped, isn't it? Thinking about who we need to look after in these times, first and foremost, it's about you as the owner. But we also need to think about our team, our customers, and we need to, of course, look after the business. So what we find as owners is that all our energy is split between the team, the customers, and the business itself. And it feels like there's very little time to look after ourselves. So Sir Richard Branson gives us a very useful model to follow. Clients and customers do not come first. Employees come first. If you take care of your employees, then they are going to take care of your clients and your customers. So if we have a team, even if these are contractors, make sure that as an owner, you're doing whatever you can to look after them right now. By looking after your team well, they're going to be extremely well equipped to look after your customers. So you might, for example, talk to your team about what a pivot in your sales plan might look like to cope in these challenging times. Maybe we need to consider new products, new services. Certainly the way that we deliver some of these products and services need to be a bit innovative as we're thinking about moving between the different levels. The team will then pass this message on to your existing and new customers. If you do pivot your sales message and your team look after and find new customers, then those customers are going to look after your business. And if this new sales plan is in place, then the business is going to look after you as the owner. I understand that right now you might be thinking that this is a little oversimplified, and some of you won't even have a team, and that's okay. The point here is that it all starts with you as the owner. If you act above the line, remember who you need to be and make a plan now. It should start with your team, remembering they're going to look after your clients and your customers so you don't become totally overwhelmed. If you don't have a team, the plan needs to start with your customers who will then look after the business and so on. So what we want to do is we want to help you to build this plan as the business owner. And what I got this morning was a message, and I subscribed to Sam Hazeldene's weekly email little phrases, and he's the author of Unfair Fight. And what he sent this morning I thought was very apt. It said, "It's hard, yes, but now is when we discover what we're capable of. This crisis gives us all the chance to be better, not perfect. Let's take that and innovate, grow, and improve." So let's take that positive mindset and let's put in place a plan for you as a business owner going forwards. So, knowing that the Sir Richard Branson model starts with you as the business owner, let's talk about what you need to do to improve your resilience right here, right now. Your well-being is absolutely critical. And a lot of you will know and have been on planes, not that we probably will be on those for a wee while to come. But when they do the safety briefing, they tell you to put on your oxygen mask first before helping others. And that's what I'm suggesting. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Make sure you stay healthy. You get as much sleep as you can. Keep your exercise going and get support if you need it. In times such as these, there are many information sources. Choose those carefully and try to minimize time that is spent on some of the social media about this issue, which may not be strictly correct. Most of all, you need to stay calm, stay connected with your friends and family, and stay truly positive. So for those of you that are on Xero, that they actually offer a private and free and confidential mental health support for everyone that are on the starter, standard and premium plan subscriptions in New Zealand, and that's available for your employees and your families as well. So we need to focus on the needs of our families. Their health and well-being is also extremely important. And we need to make a plan for how they can be supported, especially in the instance where they need to go into isolation. So, very empowering thing for you to do right now is to do a personal budget. This doesn't need to be complex. It could be as simple as looking at what your expenditure was for the few months prior to lockdown. Clearly, it's looking a bit different probably during lockdown. And identify what your monthly personal costs actually are. Identify where you can make savings. Clearly, things like entertainment, travel, and holidays may be pretty limited out the other side of level 4. But every saving that you make is going to take pressure off what the business needs to provide to you. Clearly, you won't want to cut costs for essential services. As we know, having reliable internet connections, and that's been really interesting, hasn't it, during lockdown time, are really important, as are a number of other things. But you need to look at each and every one of those costs and consider which ones are now essential to you and your family. Likewise, think about your personal asset planning and the planning for your family. Things like your personal insurances, your life and income protection policies, your wills, your memorandum of wishes, are they all up to date? Make sure you and your appropriate family members have powers of attorney in place. So there's a couple of types of powers of attorney that you need to think about here. The first is an enduring power of attorney for property. What this means is that somebody can look after your money and property if you become unable to as a result of injury, illness, or an age-related condition. The other type of power of attorney is over personal care and welfare. This gives someone that you trust the power to make decisions about your health and welfare if you are unable to. They're legal documents, and it gives someone that you trust the power to look after your health and welfare if you're unable to due to illness, accident, or an age-related disease. That person is called your attorney. Often it's a family member or a truly trusted friend. But now is an absolutely great time to make sure that you've got these in place, to review what you've got in place, see who you've appointed as your attorney, and make sure that that person is still capable and willing to act, because things change, don't they? And now is just a simply ideal time to check in on those things. Your team members. A lot of our team members are anxious and they could well be worried about their job security. The government stated, and we have seen, haven't we, in the recent weeks, of the number of job losses that are being dealt up at this time. My suggestion to you is that you simply be open with your team. Share relevant parts of your plan with them and be honest about the potential impact the pandemic will have on your business. If there are to be job losses, ensure that you obtain the appropriate legal and HR advice on the best way to handle that restructuring and redundancy process. And look, there are people out there that are prepared to help that have some NZTE funding schemes in place. And I'd just like to do a shout out actually to Tammy Lee Holmes. And she has a business, Gold Digger, and she's been just instrumental in helping people deal up some of these HR issues. These are people that you need to get hold of and take the appropriate advice at this time. It's likely that we are going to remain in some form of lockdown in the coming weeks and possibly months. So now is a good time. Decide what additional resources that we need to provide our team with, if that hasn't already been done. But likely, some of them will actually be saying, actually, if this is going to carry on, we maybe need some more resource or some different resources to help us through. Consider how best to utilise that technology and keep that team communication going. Make sure that you have that COVID-19 policy in place to keep your team safe. Certainly, those policies may look slightly different as we move from level 4 to level 3. You need to let them know what support's available. We'll look at government support in a little bit more detail shortly. Your clients. The support that you offer to your customers right now is going to impact the support that your customers give you back in the future. Your customers need to be reassured that you're still operating and that you're taking specific measures to mitigate their exposure to the virus. Your policy should cover the steps that your business is taking to protect them as your customers, and you need to share that information to them, offer them reassurance, and that you're taking practical steps to reduce risk to them as your customers and also your team, because actually a lot of them have very close relationships with your team, and that matters and is important to them as your customers. Think about what your terms of trade look like. Update the terms of trade to reflect your changing business practices. Make sure that if you do update those, that you make sure that you share those with your customers, highlighting obviously the key changes and how they affect them. In particular, you might wish to review your payment terms and delivery terms, perhaps. Remember, though, to enforce your terms of trade at this time. Don't let customers avoid paying you, as this can have a material impact on the sustainability of your business. And that is really important. You need that cash flow right now. The cash flow needs to move around in our economy. So we talked about putting on that oxygen mask first, on yourself first. And it's essential, as I said, that we make sure that we've got sufficient cash coming into your business from our customers. Cash is actually the oxygen that our business needs to survive. So we will talk a little bit more about cash flow management shortly, as there are always things that we can do in that area. So improving your cash flow involves you making a plan also for dealing with your suppliers. So it's a time to think about what terms we have in place with our suppliers? Can we negotiate different terms? We are operating in a different business world at the moment. We are probably going to be operating in a different business world for a wee while to come, and probably it will extend out for quite a long period of time, longer than what we can maybe imagine right now. If you pay up front, are there prompt payment discounts available that you can utilise? If you don't have that sufficient cash flow to pay up front, have you asked if you can pay over a longer period of time? For those of you that have stock, is it possible for you to have that stock on consignment whereby you only pay for it to the supplier once you've sold that stock? They are all things that you need to reconsider. Discuss that supply chain with them and the measures that they're taking to make sure that that supply continues. Ask about what their contingency plans are for what might happen if deliveries can't be made or supplies can't be obtained. You need to think about, is there a need for you to order additional stock while it's available? Is it likely to become scarce in the coming months? Is it likely to become scarce as we move between levels? Perhaps you need to think about reducing your current minimum reordering levels so that you don't carry so much stock. Or perhaps there may be some items of stock that you should not reorder at all. Have a look at your suppliers' contracts, in particular with regards to the return of stock. Discuss whether there is any ability to return any stock that isn't selling. Ensure your contracts are updated if any terms change, and if you can't return the stock, consider whether you should discount that slow-moving stock to convert it into cash, and clearly don't reorder that same stock again. Review those contracts that you've got with your suppliers. Is there a clause in there that allows you to cancel orders or to change the terms in crises such as these? If you can't meet the terms of your contract, you need to seek legal advice and negotiate with your suppliers. You need to think about every key contract that you have. That includes with the lessors of premises. Some of the leases allow some flexibility in requesting from landlords that they reduce your rent in times when you are unable to enter your premises. Some leases do not allow that. However, don't ever think that these things cannot be renegotiated, even when you believe that they can't. Your current cash flow and ability to meet financial obligations may be significantly impacted, and some of these key providers are going to be prepared to renegotiate terms. Remember, we are operating in a completely different environment. So, what's really important? We said cash was the oxygen that your business needs. So, one of the most important ways that we can improve your business is to shorten your cash conversion cycle. In other words, get your cash in quicker, get it moving around faster. Let's just take a look at a real example, and we'll just use a wholesaler for this example. So the wholesaler buys stock from suppliers and on average must pay the suppliers 45 days after buying that stock. Obviously, that stock doesn't sell immediately, that it comes into the warehouse. Some sells quickly, other stock takes longer, and eventually some stock may have to be discounted to get it to move on. But on average, stock is held for, say, 60 days in this example. When the stock's sold, credit terms are often provided to the customers, but a customer doesn't always observe those credit terms, as we know, and let's say on average it takes 60 days for the customer to pay. So if we have a look at that cash conversion cycle, we have 60 days average stock holding plus 60 days to get paid by our customers, less the 45 days credit provided by our supplier, equals 75 days. That is 75 days from the time that we purchase and we get our stock to the time that we convert it to cash. So we need a plan in place that shortens this cash conversion cycle. And this is something that we would recommend that you do as part of your business continuity plan. So a lot of you will have management accounts. They may be on Xero. They may be on MYOB Live, whatever it is. From those, we can work out the above numbers and calculate what your cash conversion cycle is. From there, we can figure out and we can work together and how we can shorten up that cash cycle and free up some more cash. Let's use another example. If your debt is of 50,000, your turnover is 500,000 per annum. A 10-day reduction in your cash conversion cycle is worth 13,700 to you. That might not sound like much, but I'd sure as heck like that in my bank account now, as I'm sure you would too. So part of your business continuity plan then is working out how much we can free up using this model. Another area of focus needs to be on what we call our business 101 cycle in these difficult times. We talk about, and you hear us talking about it often, there's a massive difference between profit and cash. A lot of you have been on courses that I have presented where we talk about what the difference is between profit and cash, and you need both in your business. Profit's what you pay tax on. Cash is the oxygen that your business needs to survive. It's the lifeline. It's the blood that needs to flow through your business. So what's important here, as well as improving our cash conversion cycle, is that we make plans to maximize our profit while at the same time financing the business correctly and adequately. So let's just walk through this cycle. Starting at the top as an owner, so up here. You introduce cash into the business to buy assets. You may also, of course, have borrowed some money to purchase those assets. Those assets, we hope, are used to generate profit. And how we increase profit is by improving our revenue or sales. Very difficult and challenging in times such as these. Increasing our margin or our efficiencies within our business, or by trimming our overhead costs. So now's a really good time to be looking closely at potential new revenue lines, new potential customers, pivots in your sales strategies, and what you can do to avoid losing your great existing customers. At the same time, you've got to be looking at how you can improve your margins by way of your efficiency gains, better purchasing, reductions in errors and wastage, or simply discontinuing with products or services that have provided you with a poor margin. So once you've derived your profit, we obviously need to get that turned into cash. Profitable businesses can and often do go broke at times like these. You need to look at how you can maximize your cash flow using strategies to get paid quicker, reduce your stock or work in progress by negotiating those better terms with your suppliers. And as I said, now is not the time to be slow or lenient on debt collection. We need that money spinning around in our economy. Likewise, you are going to need to be very careful about reordering stock. And can you operate with less stock, or are there items perhaps that are likely to be in short supply, so therefore you need to bring in some more? And it will, those things will differ business to business. You need to think about it from your own business and truly pull those parts of your business apart and take a good hard look at them. Other areas to help improve your cash flow are through some better terms with your financiers. Can you go on to interest only, for example, and that's available to you on some of your loans? And we'll look at finance in a little while. Likewise, there are many tax concessions that are available right now, but today is not all about tax. And I will go over a few of the things because, my goodness, they are coming out thick and fast at the moment. It is really hard to keep on top of it all. This week has been particularly busy, just like though all of the other weeks have been as well. So I will talk about that shortly. So I've talked about the cash conversion cycle and your business 101. I'm going to look at the 7 ways to grow your business. You will have seen these before, but this time we want to use the model to find other areas to focus on that might reduce the negative impact of this downturn on your business. So even if you have heard them before and thought, yeah, know all of these, Michelle, let's take another look at them and apply them to our business and have some innovative thinking about where we can maybe change things. Client retention. What can you do to delight your customers right now? Many of those people are struggling too, you know. So stay in contact, see how you can hold on to that business wherever possible. Lead generations. Looking for new avenues to attract potential new customers. Increase your marketing using cost-effective methods, such as social media. They can be a great way to attract new business. Prospect conversion rates. We need to make sure that we're making it as easy as possible for people to buy from us without giving away our value and without giving away our products and services. But can you offer delivery or an online ordering option at this time? This is particularly relevant after the government's announcement yesterday. They are expecting us to still have a very big distancing. And so these things are ways that we may have never thought of doing business with our customers before, but we need to think about it now. Transaction values. Can you encourage your customers to buy more? Are there other supporting products or services that they are perhaps not aware of that you offer? Now's the time to remind them. The transaction frequency. What can you do to encourage customers to come back more regularly? Maybe locking in their next purchase now, looking at orders, meeting with them at the end of the current transaction. Obviously, that's not in person, but you can still arrange those meetings and at least ask for a referral to a new customer. Reduce your cost of sales. What can you do to preserve your current margins? Can you reduce errors or rework, get a better price from your suppliers, or focus on the products or services that give you the greatest margin? Reduce overheads. Which costs can be removed from your business altogether right now? The non-essentials. There are going to be changes. Straight away, our travel, our entertainment, our vehicle expenses are going to change, but there will be a number of other costs that we need to reconsider as a result of the situation that we find ourselves in. So even if you've done that previously, as I say, please go and have another look at it. There is going to be some room that you can move in there. So sometimes some of the highest overheads in business are the interest cost to financiers. Obviously, if we add the principal reductions required on those loans as well, that can be an absolutely massive drain on our business at this time. So this is a list of some of the ways that banks and financiers can help you at the current time. Obviously, there are loan repayment holidays. There are deferment of repayments. There's interest-only terms. There's extensions of term lending periods. Business credit card options. These are all things that you need to think about. Part of your business continuity plan needs to include a discussion with your bank or your financier and how they can help you. We're more than happy to help you and to have discussions with you before you meet with those people, obviously in the online sense of meeting. So we're going to be having further webinars in the weeks that come, one of which is going to detail the Business Finance Guarantee Scheme, which is also now out there and available for businesses to apply for. There are criteria, of course, but I'm not going to go into that in a great deal of detail here because, as I say, we will be dealing with it in further webinars. Your business insurances, yeah? Are you covered appropriately for HR matters, for theft, loss of property, statutory liability, professional indemnity, for your key people in the business? Now is another great time to actually review those and see that they are applicable for your business at the current time. Often these are the things that we forget about. We roll over our insurances. We don't have discussions with our brokers and our agents that we need to have. We need to check that they're all up to date. Most of your policies are likely to have exclusions for COVID-19 type pandemics. That doesn't mean that we don't look at them. You've got the opportunity to now take a good look at them, see what needs to be changed. Clearly, the government has thrown quite a lot at business, and I believe there's still quite a lot more possibly to come. Most of you will be aware, of course, at the end of March that the government it said 12.1 billion in support for New Zealand and business. Interestingly, on Wednesday this week, the New Zealand Finance Minister actually announced that he had approved expenditure of more than 20 billion in the last 3 weeks. So we have seen the wage subsidies. Initially, they believed that there was going to be 5.1 billion available for wage subsidies. So far, or as of Wednesday, the minister confirmed that 9 billion had been paid out. There's also been obviously some income support changes to boost consumer spending. There's been further additional measures that have included 2.8 billion in business tax changes. Those were the tax changes that came at the end of March, including lifting the provisional tax threshold from 2,500 to 5,000, reinstating building depreciation for commercial landlords, interest and penalty write-offs for late paid tax by the IRD as a result of being unable to make them due to COVID-19. To lifting the immediate tax write-off for fixed asset purchases to 5,000 for the 2021 year. That is the financial year that we're in right here, right now. So that has moved from 500 to 5,000 and it will lower to 1,000 after the 2021 year. Further tax changes were announced on Wednesday this week. They were interesting. They were things that we have never seen. So there's a proposal to temporarily carry back losses from your business. If they were incurred in the 1920 year or the 2021 tax years, we can transfer those losses and offset them against the prior year's profits to obtain a tax refund for the tax that was paid the prior year. Interesting. So put simply, if you paid tax on profits to the 31st of March 2019 and you've got a loss for the year 31 March 2020, you can use that loss to generate a tax refund from the prior year. So that's going to provide a little bit of cash being injected into the business for some of you. Obviously, we need to see what the legislation looks like, and the attention is going to be in the detail when we get that out. However, at this current time, it doesn't, it appears that all businesses can apply, not just companies, and that the loss doesn't have to have related to COVID-19. As I said, the legislation will provide the detail and things could change, but that's what it appears, and that's what our tax people are telling us at the current time. In addition, the government has also said that they will remove the shareholders' continuity from 49% previously, where if that was breached, we did not have the ability to carry losses forward. Those rules have been relaxed, providing that the business remains relatively the same each side of the shareholding change. So what they're hoping there is that businesses will be able to perhaps bring in new shareholders who may be able to provide some additional funding to businesses. That's enough about those. The budget on the 14th of May is going to draw some recovery plans which will play a part in kickstarting our economy, and it will need it. The government also announced that they're assessing what further backing businesses and households need as they further understand the impact of COVID-19 and the impact that that has had on all of us. So we're committed to bringing you updates on what's available on a regular basis. The COVID-19 part of the BDO website, it contains absolutely stunning information for you. It's up to date, it's quality advice, and it's updated every couple of days. And Stephen Graham and I are actively a part of those groups that are keeping that material up to date. So, what are your next steps? We've set out for you the mindsets that you need to have in these really difficult times, what you need to do to look after yourself, your team, and your customers. We've shared some ideas for you as to how you can improve your sales, your margin, your profit, and your cash flow, even if that improvement is only slowing the speed of decline. It's still worth doing. We've shared in general terms what support is available, not just from the government, but from others. So it's essential, we believe, that you decide what you're going to do. We don't believe that doing nothing is an option. It's time to put that oxygen mask on yourself, to make a plan to get through this crisis and what comes out the other side. Even if that plan involves you closing your business, you're better off to make that decision sooner rather than later. Part of that plan is to surround yourself with experts. We're here. We are here as your accountants. You matter to us. Your bankers, your legal people, your HR advisors. We are all here to help you. Remember, you need to stay above the line, live into the be, do, have mindset, and focus on what you can do. So what do the different alert levels truly mean to your business? How can you maximize your return, profit, and cash flow at each of those levels? Level 3, they have told us, restricts contact as much as possible while we're in the waiting room, as they put it. And businesses will move from essential services only to safe operations only. And there will be accreditation by MBIE. But the minister himself actually said in his delivery of his speech on Wednesday that he had heard the stories of people reimagining their cafe or restaurants in the world of physical distancing. Imagine what our cafes and restaurants might look like as we move to level 3. I know they have said that those places can't open, but they have said that there are takeaway options. So the manufacturers shifting gear need to think about meeting needs in the health sector, the exporters altering their supply chains in real time to keep exports going. And he said, the minister, that optimism and spirit is essential to making this work. So with all of this in mind, we've developed a business continuity plan and guide, which I'm going to show you briefly just right now. Okay, so here's our business continuity plan, and it covers off all of the things that we have talked about: the personal budget, the personal asset planning, supporting your team and having that prevention and response policy, updating your team, continuity of work, changes to roles, what your goals and KPIs look like out the other side, what working from home continues to look like for some businesses as we move through the different alert levels, flexibility of working hours, financial support, all of the things that we've talked about, supporting and retaining customers, working with suppliers, renegotiating some of your terms, some of your other contracts, taking a look at those, seeing if they can be renegotiated, perhaps taking some advice, forecasting, and we will have another webinar that will talk about forecasting, because of course that fits in with the business loan scheme. Debt and capital restructuring, perhaps margins, sales levels, insurances, all of the things that we have talked about. So this is a truly comprehensive business continuity plan, and it comes with a guide as well. So that gives you some idea of our continuity, what our continuity plan looks like. So how can we help you? We can and we do want to help you in these challenging times. As I've discussed, our recommended strategy is for you to complete a business continuity plan. That's why we've developed a plan template and guide to help you do this. What we will do is we will make sure that following this webinar, you are provided with that business continuity plan and the guide and the recording. But you've got 3 options that are available to you to complete that plan. You can meet with us online so that we can do this together. We believe 2 sessions of 2 hours each. We thought about a session of 4 hours, but as we know, working online is quite draining. It's quite different to working person to person. So we have split it into 2 sessions of 2 hours each. And the advantage of this approach is that we'll be able to make sure that we get all the entitlements to support that's available, but not only that, with your expertise and our expertise, we believe that that will result in a far better plan. We've reduced our cost to 50% of the normal rate to support you to take this option. And the rate that's shown there of $800 is the 50% rate. The second option is that we share the plan template and guide with you so you can complete the first draft of the plan on your own. And then you meet with us online and we spend 60 to 90 minutes with you to finalise the plan. This option will obviously suit people who feel comfortable preparing plans themselves, and perhaps a few of you have got time on your hands to do that right now. We see that the risk with this approach is that with everything else going on right now, you may not get around to doing the plan. Again, our fees for this are half what they normally are. The third option is a DIY option, and some of you love that option, and we totally appreciate that. So the guide and the template is available for you to use and to do it yourself for nothing. It's free. Our concern, obviously, with this approach is that while it's free, you may miss out on some opportunities and some thought-provoking ideas that we may find when we work together on it. So we appreciate that right now it's difficult to commit to spending money at a time of crisis and at a time when cash is low. And that's why we've made the cost of these options 50% of our normal rates. But what we have also heard from the Minister is that the Regional Business Partner Network has been provided with 25 million to fund specialist, tailored advice to where it is needed fast. They've been getting feedback that particularly small to medium enterprises are asking for support, wait for it, on business continuity. So here we are. And what we do know is that our programs, number 1 and number 2 that we have got listed here, have been approved by our regional business partner, NZTE. If you are accepted as being eligible by them, and at the current time, they are meeting those businesses that are most in need. As you can appreciate, they are absolutely inundated with inquiries and with people needing help. So we can make no guarantee. However, should you be eligible, then they will meet 100% of our cost for you to work with us. So that is a fantastic opportunity. So even if you do choose options 1 and 2, and we are successful in gaining that funding for you and your business, then they will meet 100% of those costs. So I think those are some great opportunities, and I think, you know, at the very least, these business continuity plans need to be looked at and need to be thought at quite seriously by you all. So we have come to our Q&A time. Remembering, your questions can be submitted via the chat panel, and then Jade, our lovely moderator, will ask or put those questions to me. If you do need to go, and you need to go right now, what I would ask, please, is that you complete the webinar feedback as you exit from the webinar today. So are you there, Jade? And do we have any questions, please?
So yes, I've only got one at the moment, but yeah, as Michelle said, if you've got any questions, please do fire them through. So the question that I've got at the moment is just asking if we can take another look at that business continuity plan template.
Okay, so as I've said, that template will be coming out to you straight after this webinar for you to use. Lovely Matt, our marketing manager, will be getting that out to you, but I certainly will attempt to get us back there. There we go. Okay, so really it goes through all of the areas that I covered off in my presentation, but the guide, which I'm not showing here, which is an additional piece of material that will also come out to you, goes through each of these areas in detail and poses the things that you actually need to consider. And I think the really great thing is that you can take a look at this, and, you know, if you choose to, and we hope you do, you can meet with us online, as I said, and we can talk through these areas with you. Now, some of you may decide that you just wish to go with option 1 or 2 and not consider the funding, and that is totally up to you. And we are here and ready, and as I said, we have a team of people that are ready to assist with these continuity plans and to work through them with you. But there's some great material there. It's posing questions and thoughts for you to ponder on and to think about as you move through preparing these plans. As I say, it's going to be different for each of you. Yeah. So hopefully that's just given you a little bit more of a look. It's about a 9-10 page document.
Thanks, Michelle. I've got a few more questions coming through now. So one is, do you have any ideas on how to look after your team better during this time?
Yeah, what I think we have really found is that they really want to hear from you. They want that personal connection. So we have set up all sorts of online sort of places where we can have team meetings and certain parts of our team can meet. So as an example, audit have a place within MS Teams where they will go and they will meet on a regular basis. Our advisory team, our accounting and our advisory team have those. We have our COVID-19 team where we have MS Teams, but the thing that they like the most is hearing from you personally. They just want to talk to you. And it's not even often about anything very specific. It's, you know, they just want to hear your voice. You know, we've got a few people that live at home alone, and that's challenging for them at this time. They really, really need to hear from us. You know, emails just don't cut it. It's that personal touch, and it is about having your webcam on, even if you do look like a hippie from the 60s, as I said. But that's what they need right now. They need you, and they need to hear your voice.
Thanks, Michelle. When you talked about insurances, one of the areas you suggested that we look at is HR matters. What specifically do we need to consider here?
So with HR matters, you've actually got to think about your current team levels. You know, for some of you, it just won't be possible to actually hang on to all of your team members. So the way that you deal with those matters, I mean, they're delicate, they're sensitive matters, and you do still have legal requirements that you need to deal with. So I would suggest when you are considering what you need to be paying them, if you're looking at paying them less, whether you're considering, if you are considering laying people off, you certainly need to take some advice to make sure that the way that you're treating them or the way that you're dealing with them is legal, first and foremost, but secondly, that you are dealing with it in the sensitive way in which it needs to be treated. You know, these people are, our people are already sensitive to the fact that there are job losses. You know, I have my niece who is locked down with me, and she is a sales rep, and she's already been asked to take pay at 80%. She's been asked to take a week's leave. That is a very big company within New Zealand. They have very much checked out what they are actually required to do from an HR perspective. But this stuff, you need to check out what you're proposing to do. Check it out first. Make sure it's legal and think about the sensitivity of it with the team before you deliver it.
What is business? Okay, so I think this is, what if business is not reduced by the anticipated 30% and we are required to pay back wage subsidy? How will this happen? Will we, for example, get an invoice from the government?
Yeah, this is really interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, the answer is we're not sure. But it is very much, it's been very topical, and it's been very topical. We have a COVID-19 national team within BDO. We believe that it will be, the business will be required to pay it back, and we think that it will be based pretty much initially on an honesty basis, whereby if you realise that you have claimed the subsidy and you shouldn't have, then you should arrange to pay that back through work and income. We believe that there will be auditing that will be carried out on the claims that have been made out the other side. So when we return to some form of normality, when things are not quite as chaotic as they have been under level 4, that we will see some audits taking place. I think you as a business owner need to think about your position and think about having paid that back if you know that you shouldn't, or not that you shouldn't have claimed it, but that you weren't entitled to it now that time has passed and you can look back at it with hindsight. So that has been our advice to clients so far. We haven't obviously seen anything come out on that yet. It will, no doubt, but people are still assessing whether they have actually endured a 30% drop. Yeah, so we would just think that really as a matter of good faith, which is the way it was paid to you, you should hand it back if you have not actually had that 30% drop. That would be my take.
Okay, this person's prefaced their question with a little thing that you may not be able to answer this, but for those that do not have income protection insurance, is it a good time to sort this out, or do you think insurance companies are going to be pretty tight in this space?
Yeah, as I said, I would think that they will probably exclude things like COVID-19 pandemics. You would assume that that would be the case. I don't know the answer to that. I would certainly get in touch with your insurance broker and talk it through with them. They may say, maybe don't, maybe wait until things settle down, but they will be able to give you some really clear guidance, and I'm not able to give that guidance, but make contact with them. They will be able to.
Great, thank you. And somebody has asked how we get in touch with the Regional Business Partners Network.
Yeah, good thought. So we are able to do, excuse me, got frogs now. We're actually able to do that on your behalf. And that's probably one of the best ways to do it. But what, Matt, I think probably following this and with the material that we send out, if we give NZTE's details, because they're actually able to fund quite a bit of COVID-19 type work with other people too, like around HR and what have you. So my shout out before for Tammy, she has certain programs with NZTE that are also able to be funded, providing you meet the eligibility criteria. So certainly you can get in touch with us and we will make that contact for you, or Matt will make the details of NZTE available so that you can make contact directly.
Great. Can we claim FBT exemption for motor vehicles not being used at all during lockdown?
We come back to a tax question. So yeah, so if the vehicle is not available for your private use, and that is the ruling, then you can count that as one of the days that it was not available. However, we would need to actually consider that on a case-by-case basis, because not all businesses are the same in this area around FBT. So my advice to you would be just to put a quick email to whichever partner looks after you, and we'll come back to you on that.
Okay. As a service provider, do you have specific suggestions on how to get cash quicker? Should we remove our credit offering and require prepayment for new clients? And do you have any suggestions for dealing with B2B clients who request an extension of credit terms? You want to help them, but it may put your business at risk.
Yeah, and I think that this is an individual business by business question, actually, because it's going to depend on what your cash levels currently are, what your availability of finance is to meet the cash flow requirements of your business, what the level of debt is that you're talking about to your customer, whether you have something in place to ensure that you're going to get that debt before others. So I think we've looked at the cash cycle and how we need to quicken that up for your business. So what you're talking about is actually extending that cash cycle. So it will depend whether your business can afford to do that. So I think we would want to look at that and see whether you are able to do that in your business. I understand what you're saying. You want to be able to help your customers, but your business also needs to survive. And cash is literally the oxygen that your business needs right now. So again, whichever partner you are with, I think that you should make contact with us, and we can look at that as it pertains to your circumstances, because I don't think I can answer that as a generic question.
Okay, great. I've got one last question. I'm just going to confirm that Matt is going to send out this webinar recording, and that will include this question portion. But the last question that I'm going to ask you, Michelle, we haven't applied for the wage subsidy because we think that there is a time lag for our business in terms of work dropping off. Is there a start date for the wage subsidy? i.e., is it for the period March to May? I was thinking I might need to apply for it in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, so a lot of people are actually adopting a wait and see because they're not comfortable that they're going to meet the 30% criteria. We don't know of a cut-off date at this point. But look, this is a changing, moving thing. So we do know of a number of people that are literally sitting and waiting to see what April looks like once April has passed. And I think for some people that's really prudent. If you're not sure that your business will have been affected by 30% in terms of turnover, then I think a wait and see approach is the best approach to take. But as I say, I don't know when they're going to put a stop date on that. So, yeah, that would be my advice, is give it a couple more weeks. You'll get out past the end of April. You'll be able to look back and see whether your business has been affected. And if it has, you could apply then, is my view. And let's hope they don't put an end date on it.
Cool, thanks, Michelle. I'll leave you to move to the parting thought.
Thanks, Jade. So really, I want to just extend a massive thank you to you all for making the time to attend this webinar. I hope it has been valuable for you and you can take away some of the material and utilise it in your business. We appreciate that your time is really valuable right now, and we want you to know, first and foremost, that we are here. We are here to support you in any way that I possibly and we possibly can, because I am speaking on behalf of BDO Rotorua as a firm. Before I go, I'd like to share this quote with you. Anyone can lead when the plan is working. The best lead when the plan falls apart. So let's make sure you have a new and better plan to get through this difficult time. Once again, thank you for joining us. It's just been actually a pleasure being able to give our clients something back. That is what it's actually all about for us. Enjoy the rest of your day. Friday afternoon. Enjoy your weekend, and we really look forward to hearing from you shortly. Thanks very much, and goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.